president of the American Business Women's Association. Before we begin this afternoon's meeting of the membership, I would like to share with each of you a few remarks about serving as your national president. All right, so here's the plan. I'm over to this mic after I turn it on. All right, Joel, are we ready? 10-4, big 10-4? All right, excellent. This is what we're going to do. Today we are doing the checkered flag of victory for the 2022-2023 year of leadership. It would not be complete if I did not start it with our favorite word, and you know what it is. Broom. Okay, let me hear it one more time. You guys have got it. And I just want to let you know that when I was working on my presentation, I gave it a lot of thought. And I thought, wow, what is it that I would like to share with each of you in the audience today? And I thought to myself, well, a race takes the work of many people, not just the driver. Not only does it take many people, but it also takes a performance level. So I had this idea that what I would talk about would be the 8 cylinders of ABWA performance. Does that make sense? All right, so let me start with cylinder number 1. Cylinder number 1 are you, the members. And that is what I call spark plugs. If you know anything at all about an engine, you've got to have that spark to get it going. And that is so true within our membership as well. It's having that spark of, hey, you know what? I love ABWA, and I want to share that love and that excitement with other people. So that is why cylinder number 1, the membership, that is what drives the association. That is what starts it. It is the spark plug. But guess what? When you run a race, and I know there's a few race aficionados here today. Yeah. And if I'm wrong, correct me. But when you run a race, it's just not on the driver. The success, it belongs to the pit crew. No doubt about that. And in ABWA, the pit crew this year is your 2022-2023 Board of Directors. Cheryl Jamerson Holmes. She is always ready to say, invest in yourself. Right? Right. Okay, and then we've got our National Secretary Treasurer, Joyce Wright. And you know with Joyce, we're not leaving any SBMEF funds on the table. No funds left there. All right. How about District 1 DVP, Janice Falcone? Janice. And you know what I think Janice really does well? Everything, yes. But what I really think she's good at, besides representing District 1, is asking questions. Yes, her questions, but her questions then lead to thoughts outside the box. All right, how about District 2, DVP, Dr. Keller Price? Wow, Dr. Keller Price. Boy, she's got some techno skills that Cheryl Blair can't even think about. And I will tell you, Keller is very, very generous. When it's time for photos, she always stands short. And I love it. All right. Then we've got District 3 DVP, and that's no other than Kathy McBride. Kathy McBride. She's always have to add her 2 cents. And Kathy says it herself, like a bad penny, she She always comes back. So awesome. And then, how about District 4 DVP, Juanita Hall? Here's what I know about Juanita. When she talks, I listen. Whatever she's selling, I'm buying. That's the kind of speaker she is. She speaks from in here and she touches you. Thank you for that, Juanita. Then, District 5, Mary Chekanisi. Mary with the kind heart and the gratitude and the gentle comments when your board needed to hear it the most. But one thing about Mary, when she laughs, it is deep and it is sincere and it rocks the room. That is Mary Chekanisi. And then, District 6 DVP, Velma Landers. Velma, she is a woman of vision. She is also a woman not afraid to speak out. She's also a woman that I admire because she's got the best smile ever on Zoom. That is your board of directors. That is the pit crew that made this year so fantastic, because together we ignited the ABWA spark, and we did it and went across the finish line as a team. Yeah. Thank you very much for that. Are you ready for cylinder number 3?
Yeah.
If you know anything about racing, there's a position that's pretty darn important for the whole team and the driver. And that position is called a spotter. What a spotter does, it's familiar with the track, so it looks for trouble that might be brewing. And then the trouble can then be given to the driver to say, watch out for this. You know, this is what's happened in the past. Guess who is our spotter? Our spotter is ABWA National Team! Renee, I'll tell you right now, the many times I called Renee for advice, no matter how many times I called her, and believe me, I had her in speed dial, she was always there with the answer. She was always there because she knows the background of ABWA. She knows the members are what always come first. So without the national team, my year would not have been successful. It is that partnership, Renee, whether you realize it or not, and as many times as I called you, it was a partnership that you and I developed. And I will always appreciate that for an addition to my year as cylinder number 3, your National Board of Directors. They deserve a round of applause. How about cylinder number 4? I want to tell you a little bit about cylinder number 4. I call this the Turbo Boost. The Turbo Boost. Aha, your Ambassador Steering Committee. Woo! Yes, Karen Williams, Charlotte Osborne, and the whole team. I was so honored to be able each month to attend the Ambassador Steering Committee meeting. When you heard the ideas being thrown around and the dedication to each of the districts from the reps and the co-reps, you knew that there was a partnership that was going to take us across the finish line. And did they ever take us, meaning ABWA, and all of us sitting here across the finish line? Because how about that's what's in it for me? Presentation and the documents. Oh my gosh. The idea came to brew in January. It perked up and was rolling in February and ready for the March Regional Conference. That is what I call Turbo Boost. That is your Ambassador Steering Committee. How about that? Moving on to cylinder number 5, and I call this high-octane performance. Yeah. Isn't this just too clever for words? And the fact that I got it all up here is even more impressive, but it's all because I had drank a pot of coffee. coffee today and ate 2 candy bars. That's enough fuel for anybody. All right, high octane performance. That is our local leagues, our local councils, the leadership teams at a local level. That is where the turbo boost and the fuel comes in to power ABWA forward every single year. It begins at the ground level and it powers on up. The leadership, I have had the opportunity as your national president to attend many of the league meetings and the council meetings in person. And each one of the meetings that I have attended shows a concern to give the members an excellent program, to provide the members what they need, always with that in mind, and with a little fun thrown in too. So your leagues and your councils, they are that high octane, high performance that moves us along in ABWA. That is your cylinder that I'm talking about now. The next cylinder I want to talk about, I like this one. And this is what I call a neutral balancer. What happens in an automobile when it runs and you're running in a race, all these parts have to move together. You got your piston, you got your crankshaft, you got your cylinder head, you got your spark plugs, everything that has to go in the right direction to make it happen. Sometimes in our ABWA lives, everything's running at the same time and we need that equal balancer that will help us out. That equal balancer, that could be your ABWA mentor. It could be your ABWA friend. Being a member of ABWA is certainly more than an application and a check. It goes far beyond that. This next cylinder I want to talk about, this is one of my favorites too. For many of you, oh, wow. Okay. Anybody have a doubt that Sam would not join me on stage today? Anybody? No, you can't possibly have a doubt that Sam is going to show up. There is Sam, and many members ask me, what the heck is you? How does this begin with you and Sam? Well, let me tell you, I have really been a fan of his for years. When I was DVP, my gift from District 5 was just stand up Sam. Yes. And in my office where I sold insurance for years, he stood there with me. When I had a bad day, all I had to do was look at Mr. Sam and I felt happy. All I had to do. Yeah. And you know what? He looks hot in leather. If he this would be a crowd pleaser when I made him one of my cylinders. And I thought, I should really explain what Sam means to me. I know Sam is never going to knock at the door at 405 South Britain Avenue to see Cheryl play. I mean, that's just not going to happen. We all know that. You know what? You got to have a dream. Sometimes you need something to think about just makes you happy. More than likely, it is not a stand-up Sam. But each of us, in our cylinders of operation, even in our lives, we need something favorable. Something that the minute you see it, you're happy. And you have hope. And that is what Sam has given to me through the years. He's provided me the hope when I needed it the most. So I wanted to share that cylinder with you. And I call that, no surprise, my Sam cylinder. Now this next cylinder I really had to give a lot of deep thought to. In the 1950s, in the automobile industry, in high performance, they had an additive called STP. If you don't know what that stood for, it was scientific treated petroleum. When you put that in your tank, you were rolling stronger than ever. But you know what STP means to me today? It means scholarships to present. STP. We are adding the fuel to women today to educate themselves through the scholarship, through the Stephen Buffton Memorial Education Fund. And my District 5 members, I know they think that's funny, because when I ran for DVP, I didn't know what SBMEF even was. I had no idea. Now I can proudly stand up and say, Stephen Buffton Memorial Education Fund. And as your national president, I had the opportunity, along with the board, to serve as a trustee of the Stephen Buffton Memorial Education Fund. And boy, I'll tell you what, the number of applications of quality women was absolutely amazing. And the fact that we as ABWA members have that opportunity to add that additive to women is an amazing, amazing item to be proud of. It is an additive of being a member of the American Businesswomen's Association. Now, I have to look up my notes for 1 minute, because I'm doing this by memory. I just want to make sure that I got everything. Yes, I covered that. Yes, I didn't tell them everything I knew about that. Okay, I told them about that, talked about that. Oh, I did leave a couple things out. I knew we should have had another cup of coffee. Here's the one thing that I would like to kind of add. Those were the 8 cylinders. The 8 cylinders, and I'll tell them again to you. The spark plugs, which is the membership. The pit crew, your board of directors. The spotter, the one that looks for the trouble ahead and helps you along, your national staff. Cylinder number 4. Wow, that turbo boost of the ambassadors, the steering ambassador. That's awesome. Number 5, the turbo fuel injection of the leadership within ABWA. Then, of course, there's STP, the scholarships to present. And then there's Sam. Sam, the dream of your tomorrow, maybe the dream of your today. Each one of these cylinders have made my year fabulous. I have been so honored to serve as your national president. The ability just to see firsthand the skill set, the kindness, the sisterhood, the mentoring that exists within our association. I tell you, it just filled me up with such pride to be able to be your president. The year, yes, it flew by. Did I grow? I may still only be 5 feet, but I'll tell you what, I have grown a lot. Each of you sitting here today, you're the reason that I'm standing here today as your national president. But you know what? My story is not over. Heck no. I'm still going to continue to write the Cheryl Blair story. On your table today, I put my flyer that I used last year when I was asking for your vote to elect me as your national president. And you can see the journey that led me up to standing on this stage today. If you are sitting here in the audience and you're thinking to yourself, someday I want to be standing where Cheryl is. Think about that. It could be any of you sitting in the audience. That is the opportunity, the story that awaits each of you. And yes, it is a journey of a lifetime. Yes, I've enjoyed every minute. Yes, there's one word that I know each of you know what it is. And tell me what it is. Maroon! Every time you hear that word, will you think of ABWA? Yes. Yes, you will. Every time you say that maroon, you're encouraging other people. Get on track and join us. Take that lap of leadership. Oh, thank you, my Baru audience out there. Yay! So I just want to end today with that thought. Each of you sitting there, sitting here today has the same opportunity that Cheryl Blair had. So just keep that in your mind. And as you continue to enjoy our awesome National Women's Leadership Conference, take time to think about you. Take time to think about what really would I like to do within my ABWA story. And just don't think about it, write it down, make yourself accountable. You can take that Cheryl Blair card if you want, and it shows you a little bit about my journey in ABWA. So, two things. I want to thank Raintree Chapter for giving me the feeling that, yes, I could be District Vice President. Yes, you could be National Secretary Treasurer. Yes, you could be National President. And thank you to the Raintree Chapter that opened the door, that let me start to write my story in ABWA. And I want to also thank each of you for your attendance today. And I hope that each of you will walk away here thinking about those 8 cylinders and the impact and the race and the victory lane that awaits you. So I only have one comment, I'm going to leave it, and then I'm done. And that one comment is, Varoo!
What I told Cheryl.
Mine only.
What I told and shared with Cheryl last year.